Star Wars Outlaws has released on Steam, and it's already on sale. Look at that, 25% off. That's a good thing, right, guys? Looks like it's received mixed reception. I've seen a couple clips of this game, and yeah, it's pretty rough. Pretty Ubisoft-ish, I would say. Well, that's enough of an intro. Let's read the forums. Shadow Storm, who owns the game, with a new thread titled Gamers Hating on People That Actually Like the Game. Clear example on some titles: Dragon Age Veilguard, Forspoken, Redfall, Immortals of Avarium. Just goes to show the Steam community isn't friendly. Users are just biased as F and like to bash others for their enjoyment. First replies, Space writes, that's nothing new. You're not allowed to like something that the other person doesn't like. Rule of the internets. 1xlink writes, no one cares. These games were not made for us. Now stop calling anyone not goose-stepping with you as ists and phobes because they love to see slop fail. It's only human nature to enjoy a train wreck. Douchebag with the shadow friend profile picture makes a side note. He writes, OP, you own 1900 plus games. You may not be the best arbiter of quality when you're willing to throw money at literally everything. Our only real power as gamers to steer the direction of these games is with our money. The developers aren't reading our reviews for nuanced input. They're seeing what sells and what doesn't, and what sells gets made more. The OP replies, I'm a game collector, so yes, I've spent a fair bit of money on Steam and still managed to try to play everything. I'm just very curious. Whatever happened to where players would come together and not be very political towards a person's opinion? Fentanyl Prime writes, you shouldn't like slop unless it's all you have eaten your whole life. Play a good game and you'll realize how hearts this is. Shadow Storm, the OP replies, I don't involve politics or woke propaganda like some of the people on Steam. If you play the game and you like it, great. Talk with your money and not your mouth. I hate to be that guy, but Fentanyl Prime did talk with his money by not buying the game. So he's way ahead of you, Shadow Storm. You've been outclassed. Brahmaturgy writes, maybe it's not fault of gamers or Steam Forum, but fault of activists, pushing political agenda into games where it's not needed. Tiny bits here and there, people accepted it, but they became more bold, push harder and harder, retconning stuff that was canon for many years, being hostile to loyal fans, and enough is enough. Shadow Storm, the OP replies, I understand, but isn't it time for people to just play the game for the game? I mean, how long are we going to attack each other based on our own thoughts and opinions? You know, I can't come up with an exact number to answer this question, but I do know the number is really big. It's gonna be a while. Get comfy, Shadow Storm. We're gonna be attacking each other over our thoughts and opinions for a long time. And now they're talking about when Gabe leaves this mortal realm that Steam is done for. I don't want to think about that. Impossible bat meat, right? I mean, the game was universally panned and has been available for months. I think people are more perplexed that everyone's still willing to pay $60 and enable half-assed releases like this. Well, Impossible Bat Meat, it's on sale. It's 25% off, see? So it's not $60. Get debunked. Shadow Storm, the OP, writes, of course, can't create a formal conversation without receiving a clown award. This is so apparent in Steam now because obviously someone was triggered that I spoke the truth and he got a clown for it. Pretty sure that's what he was asking for, just not directly. See, Shadow Storm, what you gotta do is you just have to post and say, I would like clown awards, please give me some, and then somebody will. Alan Fake starts a new thread titled, why so much hate on this game? From this game, I have that feel again like when I watched Star Wars for the first time many years ago. You got 2 take my points, 8 clowns, and an extra helpful. First reply, loud man, because it's a major downgrade compared to games made in 2012. Ouch. Oh, that one hurt. Panzer704 writes, an outlaw can't steal or do some illegal things. Can you call they, them, it as an outlaw? Boydling writes, lots of people have nothing better to do, only think in negative, aggressive, destructive terms. It's sad. Our Patton Hund writes, correct. Hate is the weapon of infantile human. Chama writes, Ubisoft is a dead company. They have reused the same engine mechanics in their games for the past decade and somehow degrade said mechanics. All Ubisoft games are complete trash nowadays. It's that plain and simple. They follow the same open world mechanics that were successful when open world just became a thing. They have not improved or added to it at all. Instead, they rehash the same gameplay over and over again. To the point, all Ubisoft single player games are stale. Let's not talk about their company practices too, as they have a terrible workspace and leaders. Our Patton Hunt replies to that and says, so you come here and waste waste your spare time on Earth to teach us the meaning of life? When you don't care about the game, just use your time with something meaningful. Cyrus SK, pour one out because he was banned, writes, oh look, another dumb hearts for the block list. Keep them coming. Gonna filter all of you little pathetic shills that defend this trash can of a company. Left Paw writes, you get this with every game released these days. They come here, call the game rubbish, and lay hate on everyone who likes it. It's become this thing now. I don't even think they're interested in games, they just get off causing trouble and making people miserable. Just ignore them and try the game for yourself. Elford, short and sweet, writes, because this game is thrash. Arcvox writes, toxic positivity is way more annoying, TBH. It's just a bad game and nothing more. Numerous glitches, absolute bogged animations, awful stealth system, poor enemy AI, etc. All of this with bland writing on top, playing as quite an odd looking character who is supposedly an outlaw, and yet you can't really do anything morally bad. Let's be honest, this game's failure and Ubisoft's current troubles are the wake-up call it needs. If it can't produce anything of note, then it deserves to go under. I also want to bring up the fact that it was literally taking tax money at one point to prop itself up. Like, WTF is that all about? I don't know, which is worse? I don't know, which is worse? A Ubisoft studio taking tax money or Red Thread Games, the developers of Dustborn, taking tax money? Which one is worse? I don't know. Sir Roderick Bodkins writes, no one here has likely played it. They are just expressing their frustrations, which are likely unrelated to the actual quality of the game. Left Paw replies to that, says, agreed. Most are pawns of hate-baiting YouTube and believe every word they are told. They have never played the game, but seem to think they are an expert on the game. Yes, how do you do, fellow pawns of hate-baiting YouTube? Saipu got some awards for this post. He writes, finish the game on Ubisoft Plus. It's one of the best single-player games to come out in 2024. Definitely an 8 out of 10 easily. Massive, enjoyed making this game and it shows throughout. I agree that the pricing structure is ridiculous. $100 for the full experience is a lot. If folks are hesitant, pay for a month of U+. Play the game and cancel. It's easily worth that. I'd pay twice that easily. No. Don't give them any ideas, Saipu. You can't write this. You can't write that last sentence. Somewhere a Ubisoft executive in a suit is reading this and being like, oh really? You'd pay twice that, huh? Well, in that case, Cyrus SK is on one. He replies to Left Paw. He writes, special people like these are the reason why gaming industry is in the hearts. Wrong, my sweet delusional specimen. I actually care a great deal about games. Unlike you in these quote-unquote gamers here that defends this pile of trash and the sad, disgusting state it is in. That's why I'm hearting about Ubislop and their DEI-infested cancer they're putting out. Kratos writes, game is good, not woke at all. If they want to goon, go play Stellar Blade. It ran well when it launched. Yes, bugs were there, but nothing too bad to make it unplayable. I already finished it and will finish it again now with update 1.4. Don't get why they say it's woke. It's bad. Blah, blah. A bunch of fanboys and Ubisoft haters. Well, I guess you can consider me a Ubisoft hater then. Go ahead and pigeonhole me right in that slot. Killance writes, honestly, it's just not a fun game. Our Patent Hunt writes, you played it? Le Basement, who was banned, writes, no need to play trash, my guy. Demon Killer writes, I've seen fake reviews with only 10 minutes of gameplay at the time of the review. All that just to repeat the same nonsense that some influencers say that we need everywhere on the internet. Nothing about the gameplay, the graphics, the bugs, the dialogues. I'm not for the DEI, but this kind of person is unbearable. Why so salty, writes, what hate? The modern audience obviously loves it. All 500 of them. Lazy Joe Beard writes, I mean, there is a reason it only sold 1 million copies in its first month. It's a bad game. And with a budget of 300 million, it's not even close to breaking even. That's why it's on Steam. They need people to buy it because it sold so poorly. Restarter writes, because trolling games is a money maker. The clown car behind is just a gaggle of bored kiddos. I played the game on Ubi Plus and it was fantastic. Kermix writes, I actually played it on Ubisoft Plus and honestly, I have rarely read anything positive about the game, and after playing it, I can't take overly positive opinions serious. Some might enjoy the game if they overlook the obvious flaws, but saying there are almost no flaws is just a clown take. He was hoping for clowns. He's like trying to hint like, hey clown guys, I wrote about clown? Aren't you thinking about clowns now? Is there something you want to do? Saipu replies to that. He writes, there's flaws in every large game when it ships, but nothing that is not fixable, and most of it already has been. The level of BS around this game from folks that have barely played it or played it at all, though, is pretty ridiculous and completely disproportionate to the actual quality of the product. It is a solid 8 out of 10. I spent a ton of time in it after finishing it, and I'm planning to buy it when the DLC drops. Now, this to me is a very hot take, but I'll let you guys digest that, and we're gonna move on. Milk Dust writes, because Ubisoft cannot even make the Ubislop anymore. The company replaced veteran talent with cheap activists who cannot make games, so Ubisoft released this buggy, broken, minimum viable product and hoped people would eat it up regardless. Nano, with the Starfield profile picture, writes, bad AI, ugly MC, awful story, awful gameplay. Another blatant Star Wars cash grab. Aren't they all? Adds up with a new thread titled, Star Wars Outlaws is the best Star Wars game in 10 plus years. Star Wars Outlaws is an absolute triumph that captures the essence of the Star Wars universe while introducing fresh elements that keep it engaging and exciting. From the moment you step into the shoes of the charming protagonist, Kay Vess, you're drawn into a beautifully crafted world that feels both familiar and new. The graphics are stunning, with vibrant planets and intricate details that make the environments truly immersive. The open world design allows for exploration and discovery, providing countless opportunities to interact with the galaxy in ways that feel authentic to the lore. The combination of action, stealth, and clever puzzle solving keeps gameplay dynamic and rewarding. The story is a highlight, blending classic themes of adventure and rebellion with a personal narrative that makes you care deeply about the characters. The writing is sharp, filled with humor and heart, which is a hallmark of the franchise. Plus, the inclusion of iconic elements like space battles and bounty hunting keeps the adrenaline pumping. The soundtrack beautifully complements the experience, evoking the familiar tones of the saga while introducing new motifs that enhance the emotional depth of the journey. Overall, Star Wars Outlaws is a must-play for fans and newcomers alike. It's a perfect blend of nostalgia and innovation, delivering a gaming experience that truly feels like a part of the Star Wars legacy. May the Force be with you as you embark on this unforgettable adventure. The problem is, if it truly feels like a part of the Star Wars legacy, I don't want to play it. This is pretty good. This is pretty well written. This is a nice line. This one, this line is gonna stick with me. This is very well done. Whoever this is, Adzelf. You did it, bud. 3 clowns for your troubles. General Iffy, first reply, writes, they haven't released any Star Wars games in the last 10 years. D writes, what in the chat GPT is this? Banana writes, these jester baiters gotta stop. It's not gonna happen, Banana. I'm sorry to tell you. Nomad writes, lol, it certainly has the Acolyte vibe. Hiragana, we've seen him before, writes, I can't believe I will say this. EA made better Star Wars games than Ubisoft does. We really live in the wrong timeline, huh? That's very sad. It's very sad to have to actually think about that. Snow Black and D7 BBC with a new thread titled, to all the naysayers and haters. If you don't have anything nice to say about Outlaws Star Wars, just don't buy it and stop trolling this discussion board. Your behavior is childish. B Warrior writes, everyone took your advice, LeMayo. Stacy Sweetie writes, you're not my dad. Andre Gon writes, here's a clown award you can't redeem for Steam points, and then posts a clown emoji. Have a few more, and then he posts like 10 more. Mudcrab starts a new thread titled Theory of Ugly, a Glimpse. Why would they design a character like this? For the inquisitive minds, see attached paper. Used ugliness as a way to avert the istophobism and male domination, and then links something from Purdue that I'm not gonna read. B Warrior writes, I prefer female domination, not uglification. Joker writes, my wife's boyfriend told me that goose-stepping Garamgate incels need to go touch grass, take some hobbies, exercise, find a job, take up knitting, go outside and socialize while trying to make friends, stop being alone, collect rocks, anything, instead of spending 24/7 7, acting like a moron on every single gaming forum, crying about woke. Maybe that guy's right. Maybe I should get a job. All right, I did something I said I wasn't gonna do, and I clicked on the link just to see. And yep, sure enough, this is the school that's teaching this. Yes, this is a real school that somebody's parents paid real money for their kids to go to. Or unknowing idiots between ages 18 to 22 have taken out massive student loans to get a piece of paper that has this on the top of it, thinking that this is a ticket to make $100,000 a year behind a desk. I can't believe this is real. I'm not reading this, but dear God, this is really bad. It's like, this is such an obvious grift to me. I don't understand why other people don't see it. Also, I clicked on this because this is a hyperlink and I regret it. I wish I could unclick it. All right, anyway, we're in too deep. We need to abort. We need to exit. Beer is good for migraines, writes it's bigoted against trans women to not nerf the beauty of women. Duh. Meow starts a new thread, writes you are wrong and why Ubisoft is correct. I was thinking about everything that has been going on and realized Ubisoft is actually right and just wants the best for us gamers. So I'm here to say, you were right, Ubisoft. I don't own your games and I am very happy. Mikoto writes, you had me in the first half, not gonna lie. Well played. Meow replies to that and says, still a better love story than The Acolyte. Idenel. That's Aidenel, excuse me, writes, better plot than the game itself. Haro with a new thread. He got a whole bunch of awards for this. It's titled, Star Wars has always been about women of color. White men are angry, I get it. But Star Wars has always been about women of color. All the best Jedi and Sith were women of color. All the worst Jedi and Sith were mediocre, white males. Star Wars, from its very beginning, has been about gay and trans inclusivity, and this game is just acknowledging that reality. I'm glad this game upsets all the bigots who only have one or maybe two genders. Anything less than 5 and you're basically trash as far as I'm concerned. Haro, replying to his own thread, writes, also, don't bother replying to this thread if you're not at least gay. I will not speak with you. Gay is the minimum requirement. Katsin Krimis writes, my pronouns are conservative, landslide, and election. Haro writes, this is literal violence. Riley2142 writes, this is some quality rage bait. Kudos to you, fella. Actually, it isn't. This is pretty low quality, but there's plenty of people replying to it, so maybe my instrument's off. Maybe my rage radar is miscalibrated. Tenryuta writes 3 separate walls of text, debunking the OP's obvious troll post. Here you go. Greyhawk the Angry knows how it's done. He writes, cheap bait, don't give OP your jesters my dudes and dudettes. Give them to me instead, smiley face. Excuse me, winking face. And then they did. That's how it's done. You just gotta directly ask for them if you want the jesters. Greyhawk the Angry gets it. Merc writes, totally. The Force is female, always was, always will be. When will these colonizers realize this? Hiragana, familiar name, or maybe that's Katakana. Oh well. He writes, I'm pretty sure K Vest is a straight white dude in a wig. So Star Wars Outlaws actually not only whitewashed your supposedly women of color, they also throwing women out of the protagonist spot. Ubisoft is bigot and istophobic. You should boycott Ubisoft. Darth Invader writes, Anakin, Palpatine, Luke are mediocre? Or am I being trolled? I can't tell anymore. You can't tell? You can't tell. Really? You can't tell? Killshot starts a new thread titled, what is at stake? I see so many people arguing pro and against, and I was wondering, ... Meow writes, Steam happy that SSK TJL forum post was something else. Oh, is that where it originated? I don't even know what this means. I remember it from Concord, so maybe I was getting to it downstream of the original source. Get Chinned Out starts a new thread. He was banned, got some clowns. It's titled, the game failed because gamers are istophobic. They can't stand seeing a strong female protagonist. Star Wars should be for everyone. Cocaine. Right. I personally hate sexy women in my video games, which is why I choose to play them for that reason. Lazy Joe Beard writes, that is what they want you to believe, but also bait post is jester farming, so no jester for you. Unfortunately, Lazy Joe Beard, 13 people disagreed with you. Stacy Sweetie writes, give me the points instead, and then people did. Ray Dude writes, another resounding success for the DEI department. apartment. Get chinned out, the OP replies to his own thread. Really bad takes here. Just admit you hate women already. It's tiring. Chimichanga writes, this is one of them male womanist dudes that hangs around women yelling girl power so that Becky will let him out of the friend zone. Steam happy. Biscuit starts a new thread titled 2024, the year toxic masculinity killed Star Wars. Seriously, you people will kill a AAA game from the best sci-fi franchise in history because it has a female lead? Are you really that insecure that you can't put your ego aside and enjoy an awesome sauce Star Wars game because the ass you will stare at for 20 hours happens to be a female's? Get a life. Gatson Crimus. He writes, they are like ants following their leader. If one person says that K-Vess is ugly, they all believe it and spread the lie to their friends. Individual thinkers no longer exist. Keyboards and internet have wiped them out. To prove how dumb these people are, Star Wars is the wrong franchise to be showing off your beauty selection skills. Jalen Vrax is the best looking man in the game. He clearly has the sexiest voice. Unless you prefer Lando. Beyond that, once you pick your female, regardless of whether or not it's K-Vess, it's all downhill from there. Star Wars is not a fashion runway. It's flat out creep territory. So these gamers are either lying to themselves and have never looked in the mirror, or they are living in a fantasy world. It's a good thing that nobody on Steam has their real life profile pictures as avatars. We could have a field day ripping these dirtbags who claim they know the definition of beauty. I watched the 2024 Victoria's Secret fashion show. Considering that not all of those women were attractive, I can only imagine what an army of Steam users would look like in person. Just thinking about it makes me want to vomit because I know exactly what an army of Steam users would look like. And then he quotes Beauty and the Beast. She warned him not to be deceived by appearances, for beauty is found within. Powerwank 3000 with the Arc Warden profile picture writes, actually, Disney killed Star Wars. Toxic people like you threw dirt in the hole after the funeral. Neo. He's got what looks to be a Chudjack version of Neo from the Matrix. He owns Star Wars Outlaws. Starts a new thread titled, why can't there be more black Asian albinos in this game? As a member of the BAA, I am disgraced I am not represented within the game. Ubisoft, like something else on me, fails to represent my culture and upbringing. Why are they pushing their woke agendas for LGHD TV, IA+, but not the BAA community? Are Ubisoft istophobic towards the BAA community? Reganir writes, nibble. Omni starts a new thread titled Star Wars Outlaws, Diversity and Destiny. Star Wars Outlaws isn't just the best Star Wars game ever. It's a groundbreaking experience that redefines what fans can expect from the galaxy far, far away. Featuring a vibrant, inclusive cast and stories that showcase the richness of the Star Wars universe. This game stands as a shining example of diversity and representation done right. Don't let the Ubisoft haters cloud your judgment. This is the kind of bold, innovative storytelling we've been waiting for. By supporting Star Wars Outlaws, we're not just celebrating an incredible game, we're sending a clear message that we want more ambitious, inclusive titles like this. And you know what that means? The possibility of Assassin's Creed Shadows becoming a reality, a game that could push boundaries and redefine stealth and storytelling for a new era. The fate of our favorite franchises and the future of gaming innovation is at stake. Yes! Let's show our support and make it happen. I'll admit I wasn't expecting the randomly embedded steak reference. Well done, Pomni. Dumpster Panda writes, do people genuinely care about Steam points this much? They don't even do anything, lol. Rogue Trooper writes, the most boring game I played. If this is the future, God help us. Sky writes, this game is going to fail just like Dragon Age Transguard did. Thaumaturgy writes, wow, ChatGPT is getting better every day. It looks like real marketing team wrote the first post. Dynair replies to that and says, apparently it doesn't know how to spell steak though. I'm hungry for a steak now, so that's a plus. I'm gonna need some Ubi sauce. All right, I'll just admit that I'm a sucker for the steak memes. I know it's very surface level, but I like them. Scar with a new thread titled, is this game LGHD TV QIA plus friendly? I want to make sure I am included. I only play games that push agendas that have nothing to do with gaming. gaming. Is this a hit for me? The Fiberwire writes, lol same. Tease da da writes, I feel bad for Ubisoft. They have this reputation surrounding them where everyone assumes they are trying to constantly push an agenda. It's not true at all. I really hope they can distance themselves from these accusations at some point. Hopefully, the game with the gay black samurai, or the one about the all-lesbian witch coven, finally defeats this stupid false narrative. Morshoe starts a new thread titled, Say It With Me, Ubisoft should just get comfortable with us not buying their games. Adson Crimus writes, many Steam users will be dead before Ubisoft goes bankrupt. Ubisoft will outlive you. When you're lying on your deathbed, seething about the next Assassin's Creed release, remember this day. Well, I imagine in the future, at some point, like many months or years down the road, when Ubisoft files Chapter 7, somebody's gonna comment on this video and say, it happened, guys, it happened, and I'm still alive. So shout out to you, whoever you are in the future. You're a real one. Overwatch better. Oh no. Oh, I can't believe I got baited into that. Well, might as well finish it out. He starts a new thread titled, The Commando Droid is Hot. I want him to hold my shoulders with his cold metallic hands while whispering to my ear, Roger, Roger, with a steam sad. A steam sad? There's nothing to be sad about, Overwatch better. Diva Vivi, she, they, opinions mine. A known clown farmer who has been extremely successful in other boards. Starts a new thread titled, Please Buy Outlaws. Support Ubisoft so we get a really good Assassin's Creed Shadows. So many good Ubisoft game. Don't take, also give. Outlaws is also good. If too money, perhaps ask parents for early Christmas. Edit, no clowns or I report. Fanshow22 writes, this must be a bait. No way otherwise. No, it couldn't be. All right, last thread, then I'm out of here. It's by Black Tats with a new thread titled Incel Bros. Why is this a top seller? We lost. I'm crying right now. An alt-right, outraged grifter on YouTube told me it would flop? Do you know how much time I spent hating this game? I'm fat, I have no friends, and I spend all of my free time hating games I don't play. Why is Outlaws ranking on the worldwide top seller list? I'm literally shaking right now. I spent all my free time being an incel and hating on a game I don't play, and somehow people are buying it. I'm literally crying. Slim Cognito first reply writes, rare incel defeat. Usar writes, top seller? Did you check global top seller list? I actually didn't. Top sellers, I don't see, no. Where are you? I know you're here somewhere. You can't be hiding. Oh no, I'm pretty far down. It's nowhere to be found. Guys, I'm scared. Where is it? Let's just search for it. Outlaws? Star Wars Outlaws, there it is. It's selling about as well as Rust on the global top sellers list, so yes. Total Ubisoft victory. Deluxe writes, Outlaws is currently number 9 globally. You really shouldn't be calling this game a top seller, lol. That was a few days ago, and it has fallen since. X Hans, we're gonna give him the last word because I think I'm done here. He writes, this is why minors should be banned from the internet. Well, that's gonna do it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed playing Star Wars Outlaws. Sorry I haven't been posting much lately. I just haven't much felt like it. Hopefully you got a nice cheap laugh out of some of these. Made your commute a little easier. I think that's all I got. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.